Now, the Russian invasion into Ukraine is into its second week. Now, President Putin is set to launch a strategic plan to pound different Ukrainian cities and close in on Kiev. And what is interesting is that the West claims that it is preparing a counter plan to counter Vladimir Putin in Russia. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is all set to launch an international plan of action. And this is to ensure that the country's invasion, that is the Russian invasion into Ukraine, fails. Now, Johnson's office has said that Prime Minister Johnson will hold a number of different diplomatic meetings by next week.
With the US and the European Union, we've brought in the biggest package of global sanctions ever imposed on Russia, and we will go further unless and until this aggression stops. The world is turning its back on Putin and his regime. Global corporations are severing ties with Russia, participation in sporting events is being cancelled, and nation after nation is taking a stand. The vice is tightening its grip, and it will continue to tighten.
Now, Boris Johnson has urged the world leaders to join his six-point plan. The plan aims to respond to Russia's invasion into Ukraine. It offers humanitarian support and also slaps economic sanctions on Russia. The British Prime Minister has also called for the diplomatic path for de-escalation with full involvement of Ukraine's government and stronger security in the European Atlantic area. It aims to put an end to what Johnson calls the creeping normalization of Russian activities in Ukraine. The sanctions against the Russian businessmen will be first sent to the British Parliament on Monday. Johnson is scheduled to meet with the leaders from Canada, the Netherlands next week, and the meeting will be held in London. And after that, he'll also be meeting with leaders from the Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland and Slovakia. The British Defence Secretary Ben Wallace has warned Putin not to underestimate the West. In an interview with the Sunday Telegraph, Wallace told Putin not to test the West, and he said that any existential threat will of course be met with a pretty stiff response. He indicated that the United Kingdom could pour more funds in terms of light weapons that could potentially wreak havoc on Russian tanks and even aircrafts in Ukraine. And Britain's Deputy Prime Minister Dominic Raab has also said that the Ukrainian forces had proven to be much tougher than Putin had expected, and that the economic sanctions had begun to squeeze the Russian president.
They have definitely proved a tougher prospect than Putin expected, and that has an effect on morale on the Russian side as well. Of course, at the same time, we've imposed the biggest sanctions package I can remember, with devastating consequences in terms of the ruble, fallen to record low, the stock market, and also we've seen the Russian central bank, which itself has been subject to sanctions, doubling interest rates. That has put the squeeze on Putin. What he's now doing is responding with ever more brutal tactics.
Meanwhile, the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has urged his Russian counterpart to stop the invasion of Ukraine. Erdogan has called for an urgent general ceasefire. Earlier, Erdogan's spokesperson has said that it is very naive to expect talks between Moscow and Kiev to yield results, as the fighting is still raging on. Now, Turkey, remember, is a part of the NATO military alliance. The country also shares very good relations with both Russia and Ukraine. Now, Turkey has established close cooperation with Russia in defense, energy and trade, but it also has sold drones to Kiev, a move that has angered Moscow. Now, Ankara has deemed the invasion of Ukraine as simply unacceptable. At the same time, it has imposed sanctions on Moscow. The presidential spokesperson Ibrahim Kalin had said that Erdogan will urge Putin to give ceasefire a chance to stop the attacks and help set up a corridor for evacuation of civilians. He also said that it was pretty important for Moscow to have a reliable counterpart at a time when the West has been burning bridges. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.